So close your eyes. Close your eyes so no one can see you if you're comfortable. And I want you to think of snow. Lots and lots of snow. I want you to think it's Christmas Eve. And you're waiting underneath the Christmas tree. And you're waiting for who? Say it out. Ho, 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 Santa Claus. Very good. And when it could be. 3, 2. Open your eyes. Feel the snow. In your imaginations, you can feel the snow. I'm going to tell you a story about Santa's gift. And at one point, I'm going to ask you, what would you give Santa? Make sure you come up with an answer. If you could give Santa a gift. Little Maria, she sat underneath the Christmas tree, and she hid because she wanted to see Santa Claus. And so she hid under the Christmas tree, and she brought with her her favorite ornament. It was purple, and it was beautiful, and she hand-decorated it. And she sat and she waited underneath the Christmas tree. But she was so little, she could go way back into the Christmas tree. But she fell asleep. Exactly. And out of that chimney came a big noise. Oh, boy. And it was Santa. He said, double fudge chocolate cookies. Milk, my favorite. And he began to drink and eat the cookies that she had left. He said, that's a beautiful Christmas tree. And he reached into a pouch and he picked up magic dust. And he spread it all over that Christmas tree. And it glowed. And just like a snap, Santa went completely up the chimney. And about this time, little Maria was waking up. And she picked up the ornament, and she was going to hang it up on the tree when she noticed all that dust glowing. And it had gotten on her. And all of a sudden, she went to put that ornament up, and whoom! She was on the roof. Santa was already gone, but that dust trail was still there. And she saw that dust, and she was only wearing her nightgown, and she looked over, and it was cold. She didn't know where she was. And so she started walking, and she found this house, and it said, Home of Andy the Elf. And he knocked on the door. He said, oh, little girl, what are you doing here? She said, I don't even know where here is. So, well, you're at the North Pole, the home of Santa. Why are you here? Well, I don't know. I was sleeping and I'm here. But I remember my dream. I dreamed that I wanted to give a gift to Santa Claus. I wanted to give him a special gift. Something that would be just from me. But I didn't know what it would be. Andy, do you have a gift that you could give him? What would Santa like? And so Andy said, I don't know, maybe some ear muffins. He could put muffins? What are those? Oh, I mean ear muffs. He put them on his ears because they get so red, just like his nose. And I can tell you, you need some magic mittens or you'll freeze. And Andy gave her some magic mittens. So she felt warm all but her nose. And he said, well, earmuffs are great, but I don't think that's a special enough gift. I'd like to give him something really, really special. So, well, I don't know how to help you. Maybe you could go over to the ice palace. And she walked, and she wasn't so cold, and she knocked on the door. And this person opened the door, and he was ice from head to toe. He said, "This is Frosty's fun house." But Frosty's not here. He went to see his cousin, Jack Frost. "But I'm Freezy. What can I do for you?" He said, "Well, I'm trying to find a special gift for Santa Claus. Do you know, I'd love to give him a gift that comes from me." He said, "Well, I don't know much about that. I do know that this is a great place to play. Come on in, and we'll think about it. And a whole bunch of kids will be here soon, and they have ideas on what to give Santa as a gift. They have ideas." And so she got into the playground, and she played on the slides made completely of ice. There was a merry-go-round that you would light up every time it would go around and around, but it didn't just go around and around. It went up and flew and landed. And then all these kids came in. She didn't know where they were from. And she said, "Look, I have a problem. I want to give Santa Claus a gift." And she looked out and she saw someone with an idea. And what would you give Santa Claus? Milk and cookies. She said, "That's a great gift. What would you give Santa Claus?" Cookies, more cookies, chocolate chip, peanut butter. What would you give Santa Claus?
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2, and PlayStation 3 is just coming out. So there you go. What would you give Santa Claus? Coal. Oh, well, he could change that so you could see his magic. What would you give Santa Claus? An Xbox. Give him everything. And what would you give Santa Claus?
A nose mop.
Okay, very good. And all these gifts, what would you give Santa Claus? A new reindeer. A watch to tell time. He has to know where he's going. But here's what he did. Everybody breathe in. Breathe out. She said, "Well, I just don't have a special enough gift." And she was crying, ice tears. And there was a sign, "Welcome to Santa's Workshop." And another sign on the door that said, "Mrs. Claus." If anyone knows what Santa wants, it's Mrs. Claus. She knocked on the door. She opened the door. She said, "Little girl, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be in bed? And I can tell your nose is cold. Would you like some peppermint soup and some chocolate chip cookies?" She said, "Oh, yes," and walked in. And she had a little cold. "Well, come on in. Warm yourself up by the fire." And she sat there. She said, "Mrs. Claus, I really want to give Santa a gift. Do you have a gift that I could give Santa? That's something that would come from me? An idea?" She said, "Well, I don't know. Maybe." And then she remembered a story she was told hundreds of years ago. She said, "The wise people, before Santa and I were here, said a little girl would come up to me for a gift for Santa, and it would come from her, but she wouldn't know what it is. You must be that special little girl." Santa's up by the workshop working with reindeer. I think Rudolph's there. And he walked over to the reindeer's workshop and Santa's workshop. And he said, you could hear him, "Oh, Blixen, that's a good joke. A cow with antlers." And he turned around and Santa Claus was there. And he looked over and he said, "Maria, why are you here?" Maria thought, how does he know my name? And then, well, he is Santa Claus. He said, "Well, Santa, I wanted to give you a gift." And she reached into her pocket and she noticed she had that Christmas ornament. And it turned into a snow globe. And she said, "I have this gift, Santa." And Santa sat with her and said, "Maria, what is it?" And she shook that snow globe, and there was Santa.